Welcome to Smart Reviews Hub.
Great to be here.
So today we're doing our usual thing, a deep dive into just one product from Amazon. This time, it's the Dell G16 7630 gaming laptop.
Yep, found under electronics, then computers and accessories, laptops, traditional laptops, standard stock.
And our mission, as always, is to cut through the marketing noise. We're looking at the real user feedback to see if this machine actually lives up to what Dell promises.
Exactly. We've got the Amazon page specs, descriptions, and crucially, those user reviews. That's our source material for figuring out the real story here.
Okay, let's dive in. The product. Dell G16 7630 gaming laptop. Straight away, the display specs jump out. It's a 16-inch QHD plus
Right, 2560 by 1600 resolution.
Yeah.
So sharper than full HD.
And it has a really fast 240 Hz refresh rate and a 3 minutes response time. That's aimed squarely at gamers needing smooth visuals, right?
Absolutely. High refresh rates like that make motion look much more fluid, which is key in fast-paced games.
Yeah.
And the low response time reduces motion blur.
It also mentions VR displays, variable refresh rate, and NVIDIA GSYNC plus DDS display.
Yeah, both technologies work to sync the display's refresh rate with the graphics card's output. Basically, less screen tearing, less stuttering, smoother gameplay overall.
And Comfort E Plus for reducing blue light, nice touch for long sessions.
Easier on the eyes. Dell's definitely ticking the boxes for a premium visual experience here.
Okay, what's powering this? An Intel Core i9-13900HX processor. That sounds substantial.
Oh yeah, 24 cores, clocks up to 5.4 gigahertz. That's a beast of a mobile CPU. Should handle pretty much anything you throw at it, gaming, editing, you name it.
And for graphics.
It's got the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 with 8 gigs of dedicated GDDR6 memory, a very capable card for modern gaming at that QHD plus resolution.
It also mentions direct graphics output. What's that about?
That means when you connect an external monitor, it can route the signal directly from the RTX 4070, bypassing the processor's integrated graphics.
So, a potentially better performance on an external screen, like for 4K gaming.
Exactly. You ensure the dedicated GPU is doing all the heavy lifting for that display. It's a feature serious gamers often look for.
Gotcha. All right, memory and storage. It comes with 16 GB of DDR5 RAM.
DDR5, yeah. That's the current fast standard, running at 4800 MTs. Decent starting point.
And it's expandable up to 64 GB, though you'd have to buy that separately.
Which, as we'll see, some users might find necessary.
For storage, there's a 1 TB M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD. That should mean fast boot times and loading.
Definitely. NVMe is way faster than older SSDs or hard drives. Standard for a good gaming laptop now.
Comes with Windows 11 Home. Any special features?
Well, it has a backlit keyboard, just one zone of RGB though. Not super fancy, but it's there.
Okay.
There's also a dedicated game shift key F9. Press that, and apparently maxes out the fan speeds for better cooling. Like a turbo mode.
We might come back to that cooling aspect later.
It also lists Dolby Audio and IntelliGo AI noise cancellation for the mic. Standard audio enhancements.
What about the build material?
It's described as metallic nightshade with a black thermal shelf. The cover is aluminum, which should give it a bit more of a premium feel and some sturdiness.
And size? Wait,
Just under an inch thick, weighs about 6.3 pounds. So not super light, but fairly typical for a 16-inch gaming laptop with this kind of power.
right. Ports.
Good selection.
Yeah.
3 USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 ports. 1 USB-C 3.2 Gen 2. And importantly, on this 4070 version, the USB-C port supports Thunderbolt 4.
Oh, Thunderbolt 4 is great. Fast data, display output.
Versatile.
Yep. Plus HDMI 2.1, an RJ45 Ethernet port for wired internet, and the usual headphone jack covers the base as well.
And in the box, you get the laptop, a power adapter. Looks like a big one, 330 watts.
Needs that much juice for the i9 and 4070, especially under load. Plus the power cord and docks. Standard stuff.
So primarily, you'd use this for gaming, obviously. High refresh rate screen, powerful internals.
For sure. But as we'll see from reviews, that i9 and RTX 4070 mean it's also pretty capable for things like CAD CAM work, video editing, demanding creative tasks.
Right, it's got broader potential. Okay, let's get into the core of it, the customer reviews. This is where Smart Reviews Hub really digs in. Overall rating. It's sitting at 3.9 out of 5 stars, based on 150 global ratings.
Sorry.
So, not perfect, but not terrible either. Kind of mixed.
Let's start with the good stuff. What were the positive themes?
Value for money came up quite a bit, 6 mentions. People felt they were getting a lot of power for the price.
Any specific comments?
Yeah, a couple people actually called it something like a great value Alienware without the Alienware price tag.
Yeah.
Suggests they see it hitting above its weight, price-wise.
Interesting comparison. What else?
Quality got praised 5 times. People described it as solid, reliable. They like the i9, the graphics, even the keyboard feel. One Spanish review called it excelente equipo. Excellent device.
Okay, so some people are happy with the build and core components.
And the design itself got positive nods, 4 mentions. People like the look, and again, the keyboard. Someone just said the screen was beautiful.
Which lines up with those QHD plus high refresh rate specs. Makes sense.
And setting it up. 3 people mentioned the Windows 11 setup was pretty straightforward, easy to get going.
Good. What about performance, specifically the positive side?
We saw comments like, solid performer for gaming and everyday usage. Someone found it amazingly fast for CAD CAM.
So validating that non-gaming potential.
Exactly. One Canadian review mentioned getting around 124 Bs in games, which is great. And another user doing CAD for CNC work in FPV drone video editing called the experience exceptional and the processing extremely powerful.
Okay, so when it works well, it seems to really impress some users.
Definitely. The potential for high performance is clearly there.
A 3.9 rating suggests there's another side to the story. Let's talk about the negatives. Performance issues.
Yeah, this was a big one, counteracting the positives. 8 mentions of negative performance aspects. Some found it ran slow for the specs.
Slow? With an i9 and a 4070, how?
Reports of consistent frame drops in games. One person explicitly said it felt nowhere near as powerful as my desktop, which had similar or maybe even lesser specs on paper.
That's confusing. Any other weird performance stuff?
One really strange one. Someone said a game ran at like 1 or 2 frames per second when the laptop was on battery power. Basically, unplayable.
Yikes. Okay, what else? Heat. You hinted at that earlier.
Yep. 9 mentions of heat level being a problem. Significant overheating was a common complaint.
Even when not gaming?
Apparently so. Reports of it getting really hot even when idle or asleep. Several people specifically said you need to buy a cooling pad.
That's not ideal. And it seems linked to functionality issues. You said 21 mentions there.
Right, and this was really mixed. Some had no problems, but many others reported failures. Things like it not turning on unless plugged in, rando shutdowns,
Turning off mid-game.
yeah, or even just doing normal tasks. And some found that Windows updates would break things. One person just called it completely unusable.
Wow. That's a strong statement. What about battery life? Also mixed.
8 mentions, and yes, very mixed. Some said efficient, others reported weirdness on battery, that Canadian reviewer who liked the performance. They also said the battery only lasted about 5 hours, even trying to save power.
So, not great for portability then.
It's like a common trade-off for powerful gaming laptops. But the weirdness is a bit of a red flag.
Any other miscellaneous complaints? Sounds like there were a few.
A real grab bag. Dust getting into the audio port easily. The Alienware Command Center software, which Dell includes for system control, being a RAM hog.
Yeah, I'm a friend.
One user specified that playing World of Warcraft with Discord open and the Alienware overlay active used up 15 gigabytes of their 16 gigabytes of RAM.
Whoa, okay. That leaves almost nothing.
Exactly. Then there's a really worrying claim. Someone said the gaming mode, that F9 key turbo boost, was reportedly frying people's CPUs.
Frying CPUs, that's alarming.
Extremely. Plus, reports of units arriving defective, like with lines on the screen. Though one person got a replacement that was fine. Missing power cord parts, the power brick being very bulky, and bloatware being installed.
Okay, that's quite a list of potential problems. You mentioned some direct quotes.
Yeah, they really drive the points home. On the gaming mode issue, the gaming mode button that turns on turbo performance is also reportedly responsible for frying people's CPUs.
Sure.
On updates, every Windows update breaks something else in the software.
Frustrating.
On RAM, Alienware Command Center app is a RAM hog. Playing WoW with Discord open, and the Alienware sister monitor overlay was using 15 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah, we noted that one. Heady.
On heat and stability,
Right.
the PC overheats without the turbo mode on because the fans hardly work in normal performance mode. Mine likes to shut off randomly without warning or errors.
That sounds like a nightmare.
And someone bluntly put it, at $1,700, it's laughably bad. A gaming PC that overheats at idle while the screen is in sleep mode is just stupid.
Wow. Okay. Any others?
A Spanish reviewer noted 16 gigabytes of RAM is too small. To use its full potential, it needs 32 gigabytes. And also mentioned the size and weight hurt portability.
Wait, the RAM upgrade point again.
The Canadian reviewer talked about dust. It collects a lot of dust. You can see the dust in the vents. Cleaning can be quite tricky, but is doable, considering it must be done. Often it's annoying. They also found the RGB keyboard lighting mediocre.
So maintenance could be an issue too.
And finally, on stability. Constant blue screens, especially when playing Battlefield 2042, random restarts mid-game make it impossible to enjoy.
Okay. Those quotes paint a vivid and often negative picture.
You really capture the user frustration, yeah.
So let's try to synthesize this. On one hand, you have a laptop with, on paper, really strong specs for the price. Powerful i9, capable RTX 4070, great QHD plus high refresh display. And some users do see it as great value.
Right. The core hardware proposition is attractive, especially if you catch it at a good price point.
Yeah.
It seems to hit that value Alienware mark for some.
And it's a big but. You have these persistent, significant complaints. Overheating is a major one, mentioned frequently.
A huge one. And that likely ties into the inconsistent performance reports. If it's throttling due to heat, that i9 and 4070 aren't going to perform as expected.
Plus the reliability issues, random shutdowns, problems after updates, units arriving defective, those are serious red flags.
Absolutely. And the suggestion that you might need to upgrade the RAM to 32 GB adds another potential cost.
So that value for money aspect starts to look a bit shaky if you factor in needing a cooling pad, potentially upgrading RAM, or just dealing with the hassle of troubleshooting.
Exactly. The total cost of ownership, including your time and potential extra purchases, might erode that initial saving. It becomes more of a gamble.
What's really striking is just how different the experiences are. Some people, amazingly fast, exceptional. Others, just slow, unusable, constant blue screens.
It really suggests inconsistency somewhere. Could be quality control variations between units, could be driver issues affecting some more than others, could even be different user expectations or use cases hitting specific pain points.
Hard to know for sure. So, based on all this feedback we've analyzed, what's our recommendation?
Well, here on Smart Reviews Hub, we aim for objective analysis based on the user data. And the data here says, proceed with caution.
Caution. Okay.
If your absolute top priority is rock-solid reliability and consistent performance right out of the box, you might want to look elsewhere. Maybe spend a bit more for a machine with a better track record on heat management and stability.
But what if budget is the main driver?
If budget is key, and you're willing to potentially deal with some issues, maybe invest in a good cooling pad, be prepared to troubleshoot software quirks, perhaps upgrade the RAM down the line, then the G16 could be an option, especially if you find a really good deal on it.
Because the screen and the core specs are good when it works properly.
Exactly. There's undeniable power there. You just need to be aware of the potential pitfalls highlighted so strongly in those user reviews.
All right, that wraps up our deep dive into the Dell G16 7630 gaming laptop reviews. As always here at Smart Reviews Hub, we take one product, dissect the specs, and really focus on what actual users are saying to give you the full picture.
Trying to get beyond the marketing gloss.
So for you listening, this case brings up a key question. When you're looking for a gaming laptop, what matters most? Are you willing to risk potential headaches like overheating or instability to get high-end specs on paper for less money?
Or is paying a premium for something known to be consistently reliable and cool running worth it to you?
It really shows that specs alone don't tell the whole story. Those user reviews are critical. Thanks for diving deep with us today. If you found this helpful, please do like the video and subscribe for more in-depth product reviews. See you next time.